Can I hit the light? Bam! Oh, what up? It's the Andre Official. You watching another episode of Revolution After Culture TV. Man, I swear, once again, this was the best Q&A ever. All right, so we talked about the Christian experience with depression, right? Do American Christians really suffer? You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that there's a concept of suffering that comes in the Bible because of persecution, right? But there's some things that people do to us, right? And when we have to go through some things, like all people suffer, right? So people suffer. So the American Christian sure does suffer. But is some of our suffering caused by God? Or allowed by God? And if we understand that our suffering is allowed by God, maybe it has a purpose. What do we do with that? Well, how do we feel about that? You know what I'm saying? And how do we engage with our feelings about that? What did Job do? How did Job feel about that? How did he engage with his friends about that? You know what I'm saying? All this and much more that you probably can't even handle. But it don't matter if you can't handle it, because I want you to stop playing with me and hit the subscribe button and enjoy. Mark Augustus, the great Mark Augustus, and the great Deshaun Leslie is in the Q&A. And the great Garrett is in the building.
Mark,
let's go.
If anybody's watching the replay, first of all, good morning, welcome. This is the Iron Sharpens Iron Q&A. I apologize. I did not get a chance to put a post up last night. So I think a lot of people did not get the memo. And this is the question that was posed to me. And so I want to run from here, but I wanted to be able to post the question. I don't know if we're still gonna be able to see this when Mark joins in. I don't think so. I think it's gonna go away. But I wanted to have it up here to kind of see what inspired me. This was sent to me by one of my good friends. It says, "Yo, Dre, when the Bible mentions suffering, I think of trials and sorrows here in America. However, that suffering often leads to depression. So do depression and suffering go hand in hand, or does God want us to experience suffering without the depression?" Which is a great question. And so I think it actually leads into a bigger topic, which is like what is really Christian suffering? You know what I'm saying? Like when the scripture says that believers are going to suffer, what exactly do they mean by that? Because I've heard a lot of different things about what they mean about suffering. But I think the great part of this question is that my friend points out the reality that suffering does often lead to depression. And he says, does suffering go hand in hand, or does God want us to experience suffering without the depression? And so I can't wait to... Oh, Gary, you in the building. Oh, shoot. What's up, man? What's happening? You also know, if you're not busy right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're open, you can hop in at any time. You can hop in at any time if you open. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. I don't want to say a whole lot before Mark gets on. Okay, but I will say this. I'll say this. I have I've dealt with depression for years, for years and years. It got worse when I got to high school. I don't know when it actually started, but I know like in high school it was bad. And then there were some things that, like, on the outside that could have made me depressed, right? Like poverty. I think that fueled it. my overall, my individual sense of loneliness, you know what I'm saying? I believe that fueled it. Feeling the abandonment by not being raised by my dad, I think that fueled it. You know what I'm saying? I was involved in gang culture, so I saw a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, with other people's families. And I was involved in a lot of stuff, so I think that fueled it. But overall, like, I was really a depressed kid when I was in high school, to the point where I really wanted to end it all. I really did. And here's the thing about the faith, right? Some of y'all know my testimony. Like, one of the reasons why I really started following God is because I forgave my dad, right? That was one of the reasons why I started following God. And when I started following God, it was really based on the foundation of forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? So that's really my foundation of the faith, is the concept of forgiveness, because I feel like God told me that if I forgave you, you know, then you could forgive him, right? It's like it was like I had this moment where he was like pointing at the cross and then pointing at me, like, yo, I forgave you. You know what I'm saying? So and the stuff that you have been doing, you know, like, you know what you've been doing, right? And if I forgave you, then you can forgive him. So that's kind of what happened. And so, and plus, God gave me a warning another time before that too, and while he was sick, and he told me that if I didn't change, then I was going to die like him. So I believe that both was die like my father, if you didn't catch what I was saying. So I think both are kind of intertwined, right? Like, my testimony is that if I didn't change, God told me that I was going to die the same way that my father died. And the way my father died was crazy. He got hit with multiple diseases toward the end of his life, just back to back to back to back to back. It was really bad, really weird for a lot of doctors. They didn't even understand what was going on, right? And God told me I was going to die like that if I didn't change. And then a little bit after that, he told me that, you know, if I forgave you, you can forgive him. So that's the foundation, really, of me entering into the faith. So, I mean, well, not entering into the faith, but like really following God. I got baptized when I was like 8, you know what I'm saying? And nothing really changed after that. This was probably around the age of like 22 when all this happened, right? How old am I now? Oh, am I 32? Oh my God. Has it been 10 years? Wait, it's 2021. That was in 2010. Oh, so I was almost 22. Maybe I was 21. Oh, no, I'm about to be 32. Right? No. Okay. So, anyway. Oh, no, shoot. I'm about to be 33. So, that's why. So, yeah, I think you know, that's kind of like my testimony. So, I entered in that way. So immediately, you know what I'm saying? Like, my first idea of like bringing people into the faith, or the kind of connections and relationships that I had with people, was kind of based on this God that forgives, right? And I'm sure that he forgives, you know, like I'm positive of that. Of all things, I know he forgives. I know he forgives people that don't deserve to be forgiven. But when I started following God, I got introduced to a culture that I had never been introduced before. So if anybody that's on right now, like Garrett, I see you here, TWTG. I never knew your real name, man. If you give me your real name, I will give you a proper shout out. I know I've seen you in the lives before, so I appreciate you for joining. But if you give me a real name, I'll give you a proper shout out. So like that was my foundation into the faith. Well, really following the faith. And then when I started to go to church. Now, let me say this too, right? Let me give a disclaimer. I've only been a member of one church. Ever. Right? There was another church that, you know, I enjoyed when I was younger, because I enjoyed the pastor, because the pastor, he used to be a Crip, you know what I'm saying? So he had a dope history. I used to enjoy that. Mark's coming through. I don't know if it's in Mike. I never seen a picture when somebody else was on live. So we're gonna see. Okay, took it away. I kind of had a feeling.
Yo,
what's up, man? What's the
it's
deal?
lit.
What's
It's
the deal?
lit.
Ashley loves music. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good to have you. Good to have you.
That's my sis.
Oh
Hey,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's
up. TWTG. That's Cooley.
Cooley is his name?
Yeah, that's when I always come in. Usually him and Ross both be coming in.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know I've seen him pull up. I just don't remember if I ever, got his name. So I was kind of giving a little bit of background of like how I kind of entered into the faith. But let's go ahead and take our deep breaths, man.
Nah, I was about to say, finish telling that Crip story. That.
So like, the forgiveness was like my foundation entering into like we're really following God. But when I only been a member of one church, but I've been to multiple churches in the midst of all that, and the culture is almost the same. They're a little bit different, but some of the legalistic things are the same. So the church culture was a shock for me, because I saw that like their foundation really wasn't exactly the same. Like it's preached to be the same, but it's not. The people aren't really treated like we worship a God that forgives whoever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whoever decides to come to him. You know what I'm saying? And so that was kind of what I had leaned on. That's what I was trying to get up my church culture. So when I got in it, my depression didn't really go away. You know what I'm saying? I feel like.
Say that again. My bad. My volume was low. I didn't realize that.
I said when I got in it, when I got part of that culture, my depression really didn't go away. It kind of fueled my depression.
Yeah.
I was depressed. I was depressed even when I had started like teaching class. You know what I'm saying? I was like teaching Bible study, but still really, really fighting depression really hard. And just like not like overall happy. And I kind of thought that the narrative of the Christian suffering was the reason why it was okay for me to kind of be depressed. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of cool to be. It's you should be depressed because you're supposed to be suffering.
Right.
I no longer believe that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said they can hear kids' music in the background.
I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, but I'm on daddy duty. Like,
it's daddy duty, man.
Working, you know what I'm saying? This is real life. You know what I mean? Sometimes we got to do both at the same time.
It be like that.
All
right.
I hope that's better for y'all.
Oh yeah, that's good. I don't hear anything. I barely hear it at all. Okay.
Cool.
All right, man. How you doing this morning, man? You good?
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen. I didn't get a chance to really, do some due diligence searching, last night, but I'm still ready for this, man. I'm still ready for this. Like, this is gonna be
when the Holy Spirit is in the building. When you got two temples of the Holy Spirit,
yeah,
temples of the Holy Spirit,
right?
Ain't no way that guy ain't pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way.
Right.
So I ain't.
He gonna get revelation anyhow. So it's all good.
Ain't no way, right? Alicia, good morning.
Jade is in the building.
Yeah, Jade.
Alicia's in the building. My sis. Ashley is in the building.
So y'all know, of course, hit that question mark button for any questions you got. Alicia, any questions you got? I know you got.
Oh, my wife is in the building.
Right.
Oh, I might be somewhat limited on my time. I might have to like travel.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, y'all pray for the connection. You know what I'm saying? Y'all pray for the connection because yeah. But yeah, let's go.
All right. So on the count of three, let's go ahead and start with our first deep breath. 1, 2, 3. I was excited, but I needed that.
Yeah, no, for real.
All right, let's just take one more on the count of 3. This time, breathe all the way in, exhale slowly, and let's just thank God for our breath as we exhale. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. sit in silence just for a moment. Father, thank you so much for waking us all up this morning. We believe that you are rewarding us richly for seeking your face, for diving into your word, for wanting to know more about you and your kingdom. Father, I'm asking that you rain these blessings down while we're on this live, that you bring everybody on this live that needs to hear this message, and that you allow the Holy Spirit to set the atmosphere for engagement that will allow us to grow. I ask all this in the powerful name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, Poetically Unique is in the building. Miss Wynn is in the building.
That's my sis, Kenya. That's
okay.
Yeah.
He's giving me the names. Kenya, what's up? Aurelia, was good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that question got erased. Like it didn't stay up there. That Garrett had asked me. And he was saying that, thinking about the context of Americans and the Christian suffering, it was like, does God?
Great question. Before we really get into it, because I done pulled up the Blue Letter Bible. Are we talking about the word suffering or suffer, or because it's two different. It's a little. It looks like it's a little bit different. So suffering and suffering. So I'm just trying to hit. I'm trying to figure out which one to go to.
So you said it's two different words for suffering?
Well, they got a verb definition for suffer, and then but this one, see, it kind of, let me see.
Because usually me, when I do that, it depends on the verse. Like, because it could be the same word in English, but it'd be a different word in Greek sometimes.
Right.
So what verse are they putting that from, or did you just do like an overall?
Yeah, just an overall.
Yeah. Okay, so what does it say?
You got one that says to let, permit, and that's translated to suffer. You got stuff like Matthew 24:43, Luke 4:41, Luke 22:51, Acts 14:16, and then 16.
Okay, that sounds like the Jesus suffering. Okay, so which one is that?
Yeah, it just let's see. Actually, let me do it like this. Let me do it like this.
Into me only. She said she can't listen. She at work.
That's whack. Tell them
the replay will be up. The video will be up. It'll be up.
Tell them. Listen. Tell them they need to come listen to this too. Tell them they ain't suffering like they think they are.
They gotta suffer without you today. They gotta
deal without it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just kidding. Don't get fired, please. Don't get fired. So there is, okay, wait, hold on. So if I go to Vine, I think it's Vines. Suffering is render suffering. Okay, that's not. Oh, see, this one bring I guess okay, nah, hold on. Let's go in here. Hold on, let's. All right, here we go. So for one, there is a definition: something undergone, i.e., hardship or pain. Subjectively, an emotion or influence. Affection, affliction, motion, suffering.
Okay.
Alana is in the building.
Alana, what's up? Good morning.
Yeah, I think that might be
my wife. What's up? Mrs. Official. What's good?
I like what you did there. Shout out to the on stages, Kevin and Melissa on stage. Let's see here, because I want to get into some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really want to. Let's see. See, this is why I was looking forward to having a laptop in a. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can do this. You know. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. I just put up some Bible verses or whatever. No. No. See. No. This ain't got the word suffering. What's wrong with y'all? What is y'all? See, this is why I don't like Google. Because Google don't really be having to. They ain't always right. Stop Googling everything. Google is not always right.
Bro,
Google,
listen. Let me tell y'all something. If you want to
Google
suffer,
is not always right.
if you want to suffer, then Google when you hurt or sick. You gonna suffer. You gonna mentally suffer by trying to read all that stuff about yourself. When you ever try to figure out what's wrong with you through Google? Oh my
Man,
god,
let me
it's
see
one
if
of the
it's in
worst
here.
things to do.
Let me see if it's in this nice, wonderful dictionary that I have not returned back to. Oh, here we go. All right, here's one. All right, suffering, agony, affliction, or distress, intense pain or sorrow. Suffering has been part of the human experience since people fell into sin. Obviously, Genesis 3.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 3. The Psalms, 1/3 of which are laments, include graphic descriptions of suffering, Psalms 22. A theme of the book of Job is the problem of suffering. Oh, you know what? Let's go there. There it is.
Shoot.
Oh, here we
Job.
go. All right.
Okay.
Job suffered.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
That
Dang,
man lost.
Listen, that made me have to step back on some of the concepts I was thinking. Okay, because
Shout out to Aaron.
Aaron, what's good, man?
What's going on? Yeah. Job suffered. Job lost everything. Job lost his wife.
Lost everything.
Job lost his kids. Job lost his everything. Literally everything. Oh, that's what Gary was talking
He said
about.
that. There we go.
Snap. I told you we gonna get into it. Oh snap! Look, Job suffered.
Now can I be real about the Job story? How I feel about that?
Yeah, let's talk. Okay, all right. Let's talk.
I'm gonna be real. Some church people about to get mad at me, but this is how I feel. For real.
Oh, you about to say that?
For real.
Uh-oh.
All right, so before I really got into the Job story, how I really used to feel about God anyway, I used to feel like God and the devil was like in heaven playing chess, right? Real talk, like that's the vision. When I was younger, that's the vision I have on my mind. God in heaven, they was playing chess, but they was playing chess with my life.
Yo,
like,
they sound was good because of.
Yeah, what's up? Like
they was playing chess with your life.
Yeah, man. I feel like the devil was like, "You make a move," and God was like, "Nah, you make." You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they was playing with me, just playing with my life. You know what I'm saying? And I used to feel kind of disrespected by it, you know what I'm saying? But when I came to the story of Job, I was like, well, they do really be playing with people's lives, man. They out here really competing with each other.
Nah, see what it is. See, this is what I need people to understand. The devil doesn't have any real power.
Right.
The power that he has is permission. He has permission to do things from God. But God, if you pay attention to Job, man, let me do it. Because I don't want y'all to be like, you making this up, Mark. Nah, I ain't making this up. No. We're not going to do that. Let's see here.
It's he like said, God was the first person to be like, I bet.
No, for real. Hey, no, that's a fact. That's a fact. Here we go. Hold on. Let me, Job. Let's see. All right. I want to get to the specific part. Oh, here it goes. Okay, here it goes. Now there was a day. This is verse 6 in chapter 1. There was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also along among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, where comest thou? And then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth. That's where we get that verse, the devil, walks around. I think it's also in Peter where it says that he actually seeks to devour, right?
Looking for who can devour. Yeah.
Right. So he's walking around in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Listen, then Satan answered the Lord and said, doth Job fear God for naught? Y'all, now I'm reading King James.
I'm like, man, what version?
God bless you. Hey, But we gonna break it down for those that's like don't understand the King James and these, right? Has not thou made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Now, this is why I read all of that, because Satan asked for permission. Well, not even so much asked for it. God was like, yo, have you considered?
God threw him out there.
Before you get into, I'm suffering, I'm just going through it. Just consider that maybe God considered you. And if God, like, I know that ain't sweet. That I know it like
It ain't
what?
sweet at all.
But look, God is like, he believes in you so much. He's like, hey, that one right there, that dude Dre over there, that dude, yo, like he got faith. Like that dude can move some mountains type faith. Maybe you can go touch him. Now you don't kill him. You can't kill him. But you can touch everything that's in his life though.
Sorry about the pause.
Listen,
my charger.
Oh, he got to go get his charger. He done missed the whole thing that I said. But,
no, I heard you. I hear you.
But listen, I ain't said it. God said it. God himself was talking to Satan and saying, hey, my servant Job, that dude over there, he loyal.
Let's see. All right, so to me, one of the crazy things really about that story, and I think I see a parallel between that and like the Christian suffering, right? Like, all right, now the Christian suffering, like we talked about this, right? Like, there's the majority of the New Testament suffering is really persecution, right? Is the persecution of the faith.
That's the main or primary way, so to speak, in the New Testament, how you can end up suffering.
Right. So the crazy thing is like the in both instances, what brings about that suffering is your righteousness, which is weird, right?
Yeah.
Job is perfect. He called him perfect in the King James version. Oh, he's perfect and upright. You know what I'm saying? He don't like evil.
Yeah, like he hates evil.
So
that's evil. Get out of my house.
So then I feel like then it kind of begs the question. Okay, do I be good to suffer? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Do I want to do that? Where is the reward in suffering? Where is the reward in suffering? Let me ask you that. Where is the reward in suffering?
Boy, I'm gonna say that one, and I'm kind of going a roundabout way of answering this question, but I want people to really understand something, including myself. Like when I preach, when I teach, when I'm doing these Q&As, I'm talking to myself just as much as I'm talking to everybody else.
Me too.
When it comes to suffering, here's the thing that I want all of us to understand, and I want to remind myself of. Without any opposition, we would never lean on God. We would never ask God for his understanding. We would never pray. We would never seek God for, or the kingdom of God for anything. We would just be like, oh, it's all good. Like we would never, because we would be so comfortable in the fact that there's nothing negative happening. So why do I need to pray? Most of us don't pray until something bad happens or bad happens, right? Or something that don't line up with what we agree with or don't line up with our viewpoints, right? Like even I'm gonna just go something simple. Birthday plans don't always go the way that we wanted. My wife's birthday plans did not go nothing like what she wanted. And it's like, you know, some people they're like, oh, F my life, and ah man, you know, and it's like, well, I understand that's what you wanted, but maybe, just maybe, even something as simple as that could be a way of God saying, I wanted you to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Even on your birthday. I understand like that's like, but it's my birthday. I don't get it. Like you going too deep. Am I really? Am I really reaching? Like God has an understanding and a viewpoint that a lot of times we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that because to us, a lot of things are mysterious when it comes to God working. And some things that we look at and be like, oh, that can't be God, because God, since when? Jesus healed a blind man, spitting in his hand with dirt, and was like, ah, be healed.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same God, same as today, as he was yesterday, as he was 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the same God. So if that's the same God, why are far-fetched things so far-fetched?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, maybe that was a little too simple. It's like, well, that's a bit of a reach. It's my birthday, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, bet. Let's say that you start, you feel like you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, business or ministry, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing everything you're supposed to do. You pay your tithe. You know? Matter of fact,
Okay,
let's
that's
go
where I
to the
want
religious
to
route.
go. Okay,
Let's go to the religious route. Let's go there.
To do.
All
That's
right.
where I want to go.
God, I'm going
What's
to
up with
church
that?
every Sunday. I'm there twice a week for Bible study and choir rehearsal or praise team rehearsal. I'm paying my tithes. Matter of fact, I'm paying more than 10%. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and I'm putting offering on top of the 10, you know what I'm saying, on top of the 20% that I'm paying, right? Why don't I have, you know what I'm saying? But then, oh, they ain't paying no tithes. They ain't paying no offering. They ain't coming to church except Easter and Christmas, and sometimes on Mother's Day. They don't come on Father's Day, and they reaping. But you, God, what the? Maybe what you're going through is because God is like, I believe in you so much, you can handle this. You got the faith, and not just the faith, you got the drive for it, you got the strength for it. And even when, like, because God knows us, because he created us. So because I know what I put inside you, I know how you are designed to operate. I know that when things get to a certain level of pressure, you're going to come back to me.
Okay, all right. So
let me shut up, man,
right,
because now I'm starting to talk to myself like,
the story of Job always puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Let me ask a question. Aaron.
Uh-huh.
And you can answer whenever. Why does it put a bad taste in your mouth? Why does it put a bad taste in your mouth? We'll keep talking until how
and
deep
Deshaun,
can we go?
And
Look,
Deshaun
we can go
he
deep,
wanna
bro.
hop in. You can. Yeah, cause you know, like you know me, man. I'm a
we can go as deep as y'all want.
Taste in his mouth. I literally, like literally, until maybe recently, until I really started to try to grasp like the concept of that story.
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel the same way. It was one of those stories. It's a few things in the Old Testament that I'd be feeling like that about, right? But especially that story, because like I said, it brought that chess game idea I had in my mind to life. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh shoot, you know what I'm saying? They're really, you know, I feel like they were touring with my future. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they toured with Job's future. That's how I felt. And then, of course, you know, from the standpoint of like, if he's so good, why would you offer him up? But when you look into the story and then you see the art, so this is the one thing I don't ever do, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of arguments debates that I've had with some believers, this kind of throws them off. But I don't defend God. I won't. If I feel like there was something that I really disagreed with, you know what I'm saying? I try to look at his character, but I'm not going to try to make up something to defend him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to make up something to be like, oh, this was that, when it's not the reality of what happened, right? And so when you kind of look at and I think Deshaun's about to come through.
Okay.
When you kind of look at the conversations, right? Because really, Job is just that, a bunch of conversations, and then God double blesses him, right? Deshaun, what's up?
Mhm.
What's up? What's up? So that's literally like the way the story goes, right? God and devil had this conversation. Then it's Job conversing with his friends all through the book, and then the only other action that happens is God shows up at the end. It's not really
Oh,
action
snap.
oriented; it's just talking, right?
He got.
So,
Oh, all right.
so like in all those conversations, though, if you see his friends,
Mhm.
they were trying to like absolve God from blame. Like they were trying to absolve God from what happened. Like trying to say like, oh, you might be going through this because this happened. This ain't really God doing this to you. You know what I'm saying? Like they tried to name everything except for God. And one of the things that I liked about Job is that Job kept bringing it back. Like, no, no, no. I've been
Mhm.
righteous. It was God. Who else am I gonna look at? You know what I'm saying? Who else am I gonna blame? Who else can I hold accountable for this? It had to be God. There's nobody else. I've been good, right? And so I think that to me is what I took from it was like he had the ability to say this was God allowing me to suffer, but not
Mhm.
curse him at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like to feel like you've been forsaken by God, right?
Ooh.
Even Jesus did that on the cross, right? He said,
Yeah.
my God, why have you forsaken me?" Right? But still didn't curse him, right? And I
Mhm.
think that the parallel I see really like even in Jesus' life is that I know Jesus had peace, but Jesus like lived. Can you imagine? You know what I'm saying? Almost everywhere you go, people trying to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Like I imagine
Mhm.
that there's some mental suffering that's going on in the midst of all that, and still he made it through that without cursing God, even
Yeah.
though you want to. So I use my own life real quick. I think probably 2018 was probably one of the hardest years that I've had, right?
Yeah.
And I spoke about
Amen.
my depression earlier, right?
Mhm.
I was really depressed as a kid, and so all that stuff that I went through 2018 is what broke me out of my depression. All that suffering, you know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff, and I felt like I was a good guy before all that happened. I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Why are we losing money? Why am I getting evicted? Why is all this happening to me when I've been good? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I agree with you because after it all happens, I almost feel invincible. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know something can happen again, but that's really how I felt coming out of it. You said, I understand that God trusted Job not to dance his face. The idea of following God thoroughly, and he allowed Satan to take your family just to test your breaking point, right? That's hard.
Well,
That's hard to accept.
So I overall agree with what he said.
Mm-hmm.
The part that I'm going to kind of say, hey, maybe let's look at it from a different perspective, because, and I'm basing this based off of the fact that God said, "Have you considered my servant Job?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really to test your breaking point, or is it for God to prove a point?
Definitely proof point.
But
And I'll say this because, okay, I was listening to y'all podcast yesterday, how y'all was mentioning, Lil Uzi's little diamond in his forehead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, get where I'm going. Follow me. Because in, I believe it's Fear, on Kendrick's last album, Damn, he speaks of the story of Job and how he's concerned that all of the fortune and riches he's received could get taken away just to make a point. But I look at it like this, y'all was talking about on the podcast how Lil Uzi's diamond was the biggest flex, and if hip hop is all about flexing and stunting, then he probably took it to the next level. Look at Job as that diamond. God used Job's faith in him to show Satan the ultimate flex. Like, look, no matter what you do, you can't touch his faith in me. You can't. It's like all things go along to the glory of God. Like Satan took everything but his life, and Job still found God's grace. He still trusted him. He still believed. Now, I mean, toward the, once he got to the lowest point, I mean, was it him testing his breaking point? No, but God believed in him, and God knew his child well enough to say, Job, I know no matter what Satan throws at you, you still gonna come to me. You still believe in me. You still have faith in me. You still trust in my will, in my way. And there's nothing Satan can do to break that. And if anything, it's to prove a point to Satan to say, it don't matter what you do in this realm or on this earth or wherever, I'm still the great I am. I'm still king. I'm still the Lord of Lords, King of Kings, and any other name you want to give me, because I am. So there ain't no bigger flex than that. And I think the story of Job is like a prime example of that.
Mm. Well, I think that's why I say I see the parallel with Jesus, because I feel like Jesus is that same type of flex. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why Jesus went through so much suffering. You know what I'm saying? If Jesus' life was all good all the time, then we still wouldn't get that deeper understanding of like somebody
we wouldn't appreciate him.
Through stuff. Yeah, who's able to go through everything and still worship God. And he said, if I already have a wife and kids, to me it's not a blessing. I agree with you, man. Look, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Even though I feel convicted in my faith right now while I'm having this conversation, if I lose my kids tonight, I'm not gonna sound like this tomorrow. I promise y'all that. I promise y'all that.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me get this disclaimer real quick before I say
give me my original. Okay, I want my mouth.
Because I'm going to say something that is you definitely not gonna be like, you just gonna want to accept. I don't want to accept it, but you know what I'm saying. So, like I've said before, some things about God is just a straight fact. It's just a reality. So I'm married. I got 3 kids. My oldest just got his first A+ on test. I'm super proud. I'm with Dre. Like if my kids was to just go today, like that would crush me, right? And I'm trying to say this, with respect to how we feel about our relationships. Everybody has a purpose in life, and while our family, like our spouses and our children, can help us with that purpose and stuff, everybody's purpose is bigger than those relationships.
Yep.
If you go back to when Jesus says, if you love your mother, your father, your these other relationships more than me. That's a problem, basically, right?
That's worshiping an idol.
So,
and he is
again,
jealous.
While we have these relationships that we cherish, that we adore, that we enjoy, that we that's why it hurts so much. That the closer that we are to someone, the more it hurts us on the human side of things, because it's that dang, like, I'm not going to be able to make more memories with you. I'm not going to be able to do more things with you. I'm not going to be able to hug you and kiss you anymore. I'm not going to be able to actually physically see you and, call you on the phone. I've heard of people calling people's phones just to hear their voicemail again. You know what I mean? Just to be able to hear their voice. So, but at the end of the day, your purpose is it supersedes, or it's bigger than those relationships. If we want to, go biblical and say, okay, well, what about Job? I think part of his purpose, I don't know if that was, all to his purpose, but part of that was for God to use him to show, like, yo, ain't nobody, like, when, you know what I'm saying, like, when somebody's faith is really solid, you know what I'm saying, like, you can't break that. Like, try my servant Job. I guarantee you he ain't gonna do it. And matter of fact, God didn't even tell Satan, oh, I guarantee you he's not gonna do it. He just like, yo, have you considered him? God knew, like, you ain't gonna break him. What? Like that would be like, for instance, like if we look at like a basketball game, right? We got, you got your favorite basketball players. You're gonna be like, you can't do him, no. You can't stop him, no. Who gonna stop? Like, you got some people that stand up for LeBron and say, who's gonna stop LeBron? Hey, G, you can ask a question anytime, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who gonna stop Bron? Like, and you say it with so much confidence, so much faith.
If the question
because
bubble.
You look at what he's capable of doing. how much more does God look at us because he created us, so he knows exactly what's on the inside of us? Like, we don't know everything that's in LeBron. So Dre has to pull it up. I don't have access to it. Dre has to pull it up.
And my question is, of all of his servants, why do you think he chose Job for that situation? Because a lesser man wouldn't even been able, he didn't pick just a random person. He specifically called him out by name and said, have you checked out this one?
Mm-hmm.
I got plenty of faithful and loyal servants, but have you seen this one? The one who had enough to take away and still keep his faith. He didn't pick a poor man who had the utmost faith in God. He chose Job specifically to say, you can take everything. Everything. Because we all know in the word. Wait, let me get the scripture in. Let me get the scripture in first.
I know, but I want to add this in here. Look at what Alfred just said. The wife that he had was telling Job to consider cursing God.
She did.
See? But see, I was going to say it's easier. It is easier.
I got a question for everybody. I'm gonna
so what if God had to purge that relationship?
Wait, hold on.
I just want to wrap up. Because this is a big one. That's a big one right there. But I just wanted to go.
All right, Deshaun, go ahead. Get your.
I just want to wrap it up and say.
Go ahead.
The scripture says it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to make it into heaven. Mm-hmm. So hence the reason I chose a rich man who you can take everything from and still make a point to say he's still going to choose me. Yeah. So how about that for a play?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can literally take everything that is of this world from him except his life and himself.
Yeah.
And see who he chooses. Because his wife, and to go into that, yes, his wife was like, maybe you should blame God. You should fuss at God. It's his fault. He allowed this. He did that. He got control over everything. You praise him so much. He's omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, all this stuff. Why don't you blame him? He allowed it to happen. Why don't you get on his case? Now, ain't that something revealing about who he chose for a wife?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because my thing is, her faith wasn't as strong. And so maybe God knew, not maybe, God knew what he was doing when he chose Job. He knows our hearts. He knew his wife was going to come like that.
Yeah.
He knew that.
I think that's the crazy
thing. Did he really though?
God?
No. Oh,
God?
God. You said God.
I'm saying God.
I thought you said
my thing is, it was a revelation for Job too to go through this too. Because maybe he didn't consider, come on, now think about it. You holy rolling, faith in God in the church, however you are, your wife rolling with you, then all of a sudden she tells you to curse God?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to take that thinking I'm thinking we on the same page and you telling me to curse him for what I'm going through? Instead of praising him and acknowledging the fact that I'm still here to go through it and to take it as a blessing in the fact that I can build my resilience and faith in him through these trials, instead of you approaching it like that and building me and pushing me closer, you're asking me to turn away from him? How can we be equally yoked spiritually in that factor? Yeah. We can't. How can now I have to figure out what needs to be done from there and go to my prayer closet and decide, okay, how can I get through to her? How can I minister to her? How can I bring her closer to you so that she can understand the issue and stating that and saying, it's your fault. I blame you. Curse him. Mm-hmm. Not fuss at him, not complain to him, but actually curse him, to condemn him.
Yeah. And so
you know what I mean?
It's crazy. What you was about to say, Mark? Now what you was
about
to say?
Here's my question to everybody.
Was Garrett able to ask this question?
I don't know. I
didn't see it.
I haven't seen it. I don't know if he sent it to
unless he put it in a little bubble.
Box. Yeah, did he put it in the question box? So Deshaun kind of touched on it already, but
I don't know if it's because of us three being on, but I don't see the question box anymore.
Jeezy, put it in the comments, bro.
Yeah, because I don't see the question box went away when Deshaun tried. So
that's why.
Might be too much data.
Instagram, fix your life.
Yeah, Gary,
we appreciate you. You gotta fix that. You can't be taking that feature away.
No question bubbles. If y'all gonna add people in, they have to take something out.
Yeah.
So, and Deshaun kind of touched on it pretty much, and but I want to bring this up because of that part of the whole storyline is, you know, she told him to curse God, right? Like, yo, like
Straight
God
up.
get to see, right? So my thing is, God knows. Again, I'm going back to what I was saying before. Like God, because He created all of us, so He knows exactly what's on the inside of us. How well do you really know you know what I'm saying, those that you're close to? Like, do
For
you
real.
really know how they'll respond, or do you just have a guess? Do you have an educated guess? You know what I mean? Like,
Is there a way to actually know?
and he sent the
Like,
Oh,
request
he
to
said he
add.
truly.
sent the request to add. Oh,
Did it
I
come
thought it
up?
was. I thought it was up to 4 people to be able to do it.
It should
Yeah, it
be.
should be. I see it all the time.
It should
People
pop
get
up somewhere, wherever you at, next to you.
It should. That's what I was saying. It should pop up on my screen. Let me see something. Let me see
You
if
the
I
host, sir.
adjust my screen.
Come
What you say?
Um,
on,
but
let's get
I
it.
want to bring this to our attention. God knows what's in our spouses, what's in our children, what's in our, you know, mothers and fathers, or whoever, right? So,
There you go.
My God!
G, what's
And it's
good,
just,
brother?
first of all, before you even say something, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. And let me give a quick
Likewise.
disclaimer. This guy was my teacher first. He
Yeah?
was my teacher first. Yeah. for
Oh.
real.
Oh, this is about to be good. Okay.
First. He was over this
We got
ministry
teachers in the building.
first. Yeah, this was my
Likewise.
guy.
Thank y'all.
Let's
Thank
go.
y'all. Okay, so if you know Dre know me, I don't really hold no punches. I want to go deep.
He gonna be
I'm
real.
not really into
Let's do
Throw the
it.
haymakers. Throw the haymakers.
I'm
Throw the
not into
haymakers.
the commercial church experience. Like I really need help and I really need healing.
No,
So
yeah, let's do it. Let's talk.
okay, so here we go. God, you love me enough. I'm walking with integrity. You allow me to walk in and see my child getting molested. First question. Which one of y'all on this live, everything we just said, first question, is willing to say, yeah, tonight, I love God so much and He gonna use me so much that I'm willing to experience that? Which one of y'all is willing to say that they're willing to do that?
Not me, bro.
I don't
The
think
father in me
I
would
don't-
say no, but my faith would say yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
so
that-
here we go.
like, I would be
What's
torn.
your name?
Deshaun.
Deshaun. Okay, brother. So check this out, Deshaun. So I'm with you. My faith is gonna be there, right? Here's where I struggle with in terms of my walk, right? My faith,
Right.
and I'm not gonna curse God, and I'm not gonna allow my wife to curse God and all that good stuff, right? Emotionally, when I wake up every morning and I have vivid memories of my son getting molested, or the mom blaming me for it happening in my own house, or like when you go down the rabbit hole of emotions, like, yes, my faith is still in God, but emotionally, I've been suicidal. Emotionally, I've had thoughts of revenge. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how
Oh
do we
yeah. Oh yeah. That's
so how do
off
so how
fact.
do we merge the emotional part of what we experience and in our faith? It's almost like growing up, or like when I got saved and all that, it was almost like if you had enough faith, you wouldn't really experience the emotional hurt because you just got to have faith in God.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, see, I'll say, I got 2 little girls. You feel me? So,
Yeah.
and I've grown up. I have plenty of friends and associates who've gone through some level of molestation or rape or whatever, and it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, in your walk, yeah, your faith is going, yeah, I believe in God, but like in reality, the human aspect of it is not going to process that. It's going to be a whole overload of emotion. And who knows what you go through? Anger, frustration, guilt, grief. I mean, so many things. And it's hard for us to sit back and say, you know what? For whatever reason, God allowed that to happen to them. I have to allow God I need to allow His will to be done in whatever that situation was supposed to develop into, or whatever the testimony is supposed to come through that trial or tribulation. It's not something that I would tell anybody and think that they'll be okay with hearing that. Like, you telling me my child went through that so they can testify about it later. Like, what about now? What about now?
Right.
Like, this baby's only 4 or 5. It's a baby. They can't. How they supposed to testify or give a test, I'm not waiting that long. What can I do now? I'm hurt now. She or he's been affected now. How does that work now? How do I get through this trauma now? And that's the part that we focus on, because that's what we have to sit and suffer through. And with the pin question, do American Christians really suffer? Absolutely. If you truly believe in God, yes, you suffer, because we are not of this earth. We're going to suffer for that alone. We are peculiar people. We are the salt of this earth.
So let me
It's
say this.
always
Hold
going
on,
to be a
wait,
problem.
Let me say this real quick.
You know what I'm saying?
You was about to say something too, Mark?
Well, no, I want to. Are you gonna change it, or you stick, or because I want to dive into this. This is
No,
this
no.
is why the Q&A exists, is for stuff like this.
Oh no, I'm not changing.
You know,
subject.
but okay, go ahead. I'll just.
So
yeah.
let me say this. First of all, I ain't never
Got me mad thinking about it.
You know what I'm saying? Like I've never went through that in particular. I went through some stuff, never went through that, right? And even I think of even Job, even reading Job, even when you try to relate, at the same time, I always kept telling myself the whole time I was reading the story, while I'm trying to understand everybody that's having conversations with him, is like, okay, even though I'm trying to relate, I still ain't never went through that. You know what I'm saying? I never had all my family taken away from me. I never had a disease on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never had to experience that. But one of the things that I was saying earlier, which is perfect, right? This is three of us here talking to you. And while Job was going through that, I think he had three other friends, right?
Yeah.
Having conversations.
It was like 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
Yeah, kept going back and forth, and the counselors.
Right. So I feel like
or advisors.
What Job did is kind of like what I did back through like 2018. You know what I'm saying? I didn't try to compartmentalize my depression. Like I stopped trying to put it to the side and be like, this ain't supposed to be part of the Christian experience. You know what I'm saying? I accepted it. I just took it. I'm sad right now. I'm hurt. You know what I'm saying? God, you keep doing things. And bro, I swear, I sat and I argued with God almost every night. You know what I'm saying? Through tears, through drugs, through alcohol. I sat and I went at God every single night. And what he had showed me in the midst of all that was like, if my son is able to feel forsaken for my glory, you know what I'm saying? Like my son felt forsaken. You know what I'm saying? Like I put him through the cross, and my son felt forsaken. And this is probably even harder to accept than the other thing, because now it's not even just what my child's testimony is. Now it's like, what is my testimony in the midst of all this? You know what I'm saying? What if God will put his son to the cross for everybody else's sake? That was the hard thing to accept, because I feel like God was now telling me, Dre, your life got to be trash for a season. Like my life is a little bit better now. Not perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just out of that particular situation. And but that situation is something that's memorable. You know what I'm saying? Like that's going to be triggered. So I still got.
I have a question.
Stuff that I went through.
Wait, hold
on.
Let me finish this real quick.
No, go ahead. I was just putting that in there real quick.
So, you know what I'm saying? And God was like, if I put my son through all that, then, you know, are you willing to suffer for everybody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, now it ain't even about just me and your relationship. Now it's about every single other person that's going to go through that same type of pain. Are you willing to take that pain so that you can counsel other people who may not have the same withdrawal as you, who would have killed themselves that night? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who would have slit their wrist that night, and who would have ended it all in that moment? You know, even though you wanted to end it all. I'm still talking to Dre. Even though you wanted to end it all, you didn't. Right? And so just the simple fact that you stayed alive, the simple fact that you survived, you know, like the more I hear about DMX's story, the more I see about his past, and I'm like, look what the dude survived. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though we know how it ended, look what the heck it's crazy to survive all that. And it's that survival story that keeps other people going. It's a sad reality, and I feel like that the overall concept is because we live in a broken world, but God seems to choose people to suffer so that other people can survive. That sucks, but that's real. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only time I take any privilege in my suffering, because I know that somebody else might survive because it didn't kill me. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I sat with what I went through back in like 2018.
So let me. Dang. So I've been through that. I've been molested by a family member in my parents' home, and that's not an easy issue to deal with. I don't know what it's like to walk in on, my kids, they've never been molested. I've never had to walk in on anything like that. So from a parental perspective, I can only imagine what that's like, but I can't, I'm never going to front with anybody and say, oh, I know what that's like. No, I don't. I don't know what that's like. But when it comes to this particular topic, I know what it's like to be molested, to be on the other side of that, to have to grow up with, it's funny, bro, because we was actually supposed to talk about that today. And then I forgot, and then Gary told me. So it's interesting that this is kind of coming up together.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. I actually told Dre, like, yo, I want to share my story, and let's talk about the issues of being, molested and stuff. But it's not easy. People, like, I can't speak for every person that's been molested, every man that's been molested, but I can speak for me. I grew up thinking about living a homosexual lifestyle. I actually wanted to. Girls that I thought was cute and fine and all that stuff, they wouldn't show me attention. The type of attention I did get from them was like, oh, well, if you're a light skin, because back in the day, light skin dudes was, the type of men that pretty much everyone,
we ain't even gonna go there.
So, but and then I'm dealing with identity issues and not knowing really who I am, feeling like the black sheep of my family, just like, just everything. I can speak today and say, man, I understand that there's a lot of anger. And Dre, I told Dre, like, yo, bro, like, me and God at odds right now, bro. Like, I don't hide from that kind of stuff. I learned to be honest with God because God knows already you at odds with him. So why am I gonna hold back verbally and talk to God as if he don't already know what's in my heart? God, listen, I'm not there right now. Sometimes I don't even take time to talk to God because I'm just in my feelings that much. And so when I speak about, especially specifically molestation and having that issue, I have a lot of respect for it. I don't want anybody to think like, oh, well, but you didn't have to walk. Listen, I understand I've never had to walk in on my children being molested. I understand that. But I've been on the side of being molested. My mom walked in on it when it happened. I don't know what that, what that was like. But, and I know it don't feel good at all. It don't feel good to have to deal with any issue, especially things like rape, molestation, like really deep betrayals and stuff like that. It don't feel good. It don't. Why do we have to be uncomfortable? Yeah, let's be honest. Why do we have to be uncomfortable in order to help somebody else out? Why do we got to go through this trash stuff to to help other, what I'm saying? The only answer I can honestly think of, the only one I can honestly think of is that we're not the only ones going through it. So guys, like, yo, I'm gonna let you go through this because you're strong enough to handle it. And then when you get to a mature place of being able to see things from a different perspective, you'll be able to help other people out with that. You'll be able to help people avoid it. You'll be able to help some people through it. And you'll be able to help some people, like afterwards, to like help share that testimony, things like that.
Real quick, Mark. So
yeah, go ahead.
My thing is, I don't think I'm strong enough to handle it. I just didn't have my gun at the time.
No, listen.
You see what I'm saying?
That's real. No,
like I just bought another one, but at that particular time, my gun was stolen at the particular time of the incident. So I can't sit here and say I'd be sitting here. You feel me?
Right. No, listen.
So I don't feel like I'm strong enough to handle that experience because of the stuff I think about on a weekly basis.
So this is something that me and Jay were talking last night, and I was like, bro, like one thing, and we were talking about marriages, but I mean, it applies all the way around. I was saying how we got to learn how to be okay with the negative feelings too, because just as much as when somebody does something that makes you feel loved and joy and peace and all of that, and makes you feel hope, there are things that people do too that make you feel angry, pissed off, jealous, envy, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. So it's okay. Just because you feel like and think about things that maybe you feel like, oh man, like that ain't godly though, or that ain't this. Listen, that it ain't got nothing to do with religion. This ain't got nothing to do with your faith and your belief. You still got faith. By you even being here today, hopping on saying, look, yo, like, can we talk about this? That by that alone shows you have faith still. You just like, yo, I'm just struggling how to deal with the emotions of it. Like I'm still believing God. I'm not denouncing God. I just don't understand how to deal with my feelings. And I think all of us have been there in some fashion, right? But just going back to this, because I don't want to like forsake like and try to make it a general thing. No, this is something very specific that needs to be talked about. We cannot make it seem like just because you think thoughts of killing somebody for what they've done that you're not a believer.
Right.
That's not true.
Right.
If my thoughts are what make me a believer or not a believer, then nobody's a believer. Nobody. Nobody is always thinking about, oh God, I love you. Oh God, I appreciate you. Nobody's all, you know what I'm saying? You're not thinking that 24/7, you know, however many seconds in one day there is. You're not thinking that every second of the day. Nobody. Right. I don't care how saved you are or how, you know, how righteous you feel or whatever. nobody is, you know what I'm saying? Like 24, nobody. So the thoughts that you're having, they're not wrong. They're not unjustified. Somebody came in, molested, you know what I'm saying, your child. How you feel is justified towards that. Right. The issue is now, how do we, and this is where the church really lacks at as a whole. Not everybody, not every local church has this issue. Some of them have people in place. They tap into people's licenses and stuff like that for like therapists and nursery. I mean, well, not nursery, but being a nurse and a doctor. They believe in that stuff. So those churches, they're not lacking in that area, right? But we got other churches that are so religious minded, so heaven minded, that they're not being any earthly good. Right. I can tell you've probably been to a church that wasn't no earthly good to you, tried to make you feel by their teachings that, hey, if you think like this, you're not saved. If you think like this, you don't believe in God, you don't trust God. That's not true. So let me, you know what I'm saying? Let me just throw that down. That's false religion. That's not faith. That's not Christ-like. That's not Christ-like.
We were made in His image in all ways.
Absolutely. So when it comes to, sorry, sweetheart, I'm sorry, Daddy, sorry. I'm on Daddy duty. Forgive me.
Come on, Eden.
But but the truth of the matter is, we have to learn how to go to God, even with the most uncomfortable things, the most upsetting things, the things that really make us angry, the things that really say, like, God, like, I'm pissed off right now, and I blame you for it. Like, you got to be that real with God. Because here's the thing,
not for real.
And I'm going to take it practical and then go back to the spiritual. If you go to the hospital and you don't tell them what's really wrong with you, how can they really help you?
Right.
If you needed surgery, but you don't tell them you're internally bleeding, something's wrong with my heart, or you know what I'm saying, whatever. If you don't really tell them like what the real issue is, oh, I'm just, you know, I just not feeling good. Well, telling me you don't feel good, you don't need me. You probably just need to go home and rest. You probably just need to go home and take some Tylenol and then go to sleep for a few hours. Wake up, you'll be all right. But if I tell you, yo, for some reason, you know what I'm saying, this chest is pounding, or you know what I'm saying, something major, like really be honest, you can now say, oh, you need surgery. Oh, hey, we got to get you in surgery ASAP. We got to get this, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with God. If we don't really tell God, like, how we really feeling, what's really going on, you know what I'm saying, what we're really thinking, and you ain't got to tell everybody else. We don't have to go around telling other people, yo, this is my thoughts, this is what I'm thinking. No, And everybody's not even trustworthy with that. With time, Jesus said, "Come to me, all ye that are weary and are heavy laden." That heavy laden is talking about weights in our lives. Molestation is a weight
Mental,
that we got to say, God, here's my weight.
emotional, spiritual,
Here's
all
the
that.
thing that I'm really dealing with. I can't take this by myself. I can't do this by myself. You want me to live this way? You got to take this weight from me. Here's my
Cast all
weight.
your
Help
cares
me to
upon
help.
him.
How do I deal with my emotions? Because right now I want to go kill them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you really want to be honest.
And by the way, he is still with us. He had to hop off for a second, but he's still with us. We can keep going.
If you really
Okay, cool.
if you really want to be honest, you'll be like, yo, God, I want to go kill that mother effer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cuss words don't offend God. I don't know why we say, oh, that's not cursing
I
God.
don't remember
That's not
him
like,
mentioning cuss words in the
like
Ten Commandments in any
cussing
shape or fashion.
and cursing God is two different things. If I'm using cuss words to describe how I feel, that's not offending God. Now, if you
That's a
curse God,
strong
that's
emotional
a big
language.
issue.
So,
Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? It's just a,
I think
for us,
like,
it's a strong, intense, emotional. You know, for God, it's just like just another word. I don't.
Right, but the language is just
Right.
expressing a
It's
feeling,
just helping.
you
It's just an
know?
adjective. It's just an
Right.
adjective.
So I think that, you know what I'm saying, and I agree with everything that you're saying. I think like one of the things that had me disconnected also from that Job story that God kind of showed me through the Jesus story that's a little different is that like in the Job story, what you don't see is God at all emotionally reacting to what's happening to Job. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It is with the way it's written, it sounds like these things happen. And even when God comes back and double blesses him, he doesn't express any pain behind seeing his whole family taken away. You know what I'm saying? And like one of my things was when I was going through everything was like, is God taking pleasure in this? You know what I'm saying? Like even if I'm being chosen for something, does this hurt him too? You
I
know,
think
because
some
that's
people
what I
feel
want
like
to
that
know.
too.
I want to know.
You know, I look at it like this. If you're the author of a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you already know what that character is about to go through from the beginning to the end, are you going to feel any type of way? Are you really going to feel any type of way?
Well,
Like, if you're the author and
Well,
the creator, you may feel a type of way but the thing is, you wrote it, so you know how it's going to start, continue, and end.
mm-hmm.
So it's like, as far as an emotional response, maybe he went through that prior to Job even being put on earth. So when he goes through it, it's like, all right, I know what's going to happen. It's like watching a movie. When you know what happens, you don't always respond the same in certain moments.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, I know Job finna lose all of this because that was the design that was created for Job. So I just need to see how he gonna get through it.
Yeah.
I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that everything, like, we look, that I think that's where we try to humanize God when we ask about whether he had any emotions towards that situation.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, I feel like it's the other way around. I think that God created emotions and that we only feel because God feels. Like he created us. We didn't pick emotions,
I can
you
believe
know?
that. Yeah, I understand that.
And so what I was going to say actually to what you were saying, which what you're saying makes sense, because I feel like when I was in the middle of going through everything, God was saying like my pain and my hurt is behind whoever was doing it to you in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So like I said, I told you like a part of my story. I just use just one instance of it. You know what I'm saying? I had a really big falling out with a family member, and me my wife and my kids was put out of our house. We got kicked out of our house, like just really just put out in the street. And I had just had my son, and like I had to when I couldn't, when I was disconnected from God, I was wondering, okay, you might be using me, you know what I'm saying, but like, what is your overall view of this situation and how I'm feeling right now? And what God revealed to me was, I do feel painful when people hurt you. That's why I get vengeance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why the scripture says, vengeance is mine. You know what I'm saying? Said the Lord. And I'm not gonna lie, I ain't gonna say that I was throwing a party behind it, but when bad stuff started happening to that person,
Wasn't feeling bad about it.
whatever he did to me, I was like,
Wasn't feeling bad.
you know what I'm saying? Because
Well,
when we do it like you said it to Gary while he was on, you said like the feelings you feel is justified, because that's what we were looking for. We're looking to feel justified. You know what I'm saying? We're looking for justification. We want to feel vindicated behind the way we feel. You know what I'm saying? For what happened. And the problem is, like, it becomes hard to do so. But in the midst of us trying to find that forgiveness for the person that hurt us, at the same time, we have to couple that with knowing that God is still going to get vengeance. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still going to justify you. And I think sometimes it's hard to say I forgive because you feel like the person is getting off the hook. You know what I'm saying? But God don't want nobody off the hook.
And they're not
you know
suffering. They're not suffering, or they're not
suffering
getting
the way that
we
you want them
think
to.
that they should.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we be like, oh God, so they gotta have at least the same thing that happened to me. Right. Like if I was to look, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you know, you like, for instance, just kind of just I know it's not the same thing, but if a spouse cheats on their spouse, you know what I'm saying? If somebody cheats on their spouse, you know, a lot of times that spouse is like, that got cheated on, they're like, they want to do the cheating back, right? Because you cheated on me, so I want you to feel the same way I feel. And the only way I understand that you'll feel that way is if I do it to you, right? But the truth of the matter is, there is a vengeance. Excuse me. There's a vengeance in a way that God looks at vengeance and things like that, and justice, that, you know what I'm saying, that's right to Him. And you know, that does, a lot of times we don't line up with that, and we want God to line up with us, but it's like, no, we're supposed to line up with God.
Right. And I think
our thoughts really get us.
I think His vengeance is worse than anything we could ever do. You know what I'm saying? I think what He can do to somebody is way worse than anything that we can do physically.
Oh yeah.
So,
and I think we get caught up in our own personal feelings and thoughts, which create trouble within ourselves. It's like, you know, we, like you said, when you were saying about how we feel like, oh, they didn't suffer like I did, or it didn't match. Like, that's our personal issue. That's not God's issue. You know, I mean, well, it is God's issue, but I'm saying, like, we get involved with what we're supposed to be leaving to Him. If vengeance is His, why are we concerned of how He distributes it?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we can't do that. We can't do that to ourselves, because then that troubles us even more. And now we're stressed out over something that we were supposed to have given up to Him.
See, and
hey, if this was Life Training Class, I'm like, put that in the comment section right now. If vengeance is God's, then why do we have an issue with it?
I see people clapping. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing, like, and I think that's why it's so hard for us to forgive, because we don't even believe in God's vengeance. You know what I'm saying? If I still want to get the vengeance myself, I'm not going to forgive. You know what I'm saying? I can't forgive and want to have vengeance at the same time. It's not going to work like that. Like, it's
oxymoron.
Yeah. So I think sometimes our concept of forgiveness is like we're giving away the height of the situation. You know what I'm saying? We're letting them off the hook. We're allowing them to be able to have the power. But what we're doing is we're giving away the power to get them back. We're giving that back to God. You know what I'm saying? You get them back. I forgive them.
I like the word itself.
You do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what God like the word itself. With that situation I had with my family member, I was sitting and I was praying, and I couldn't say it. Like, I couldn't say the words, I forgive you. And then what God started reminding me was, like, Jesus on the cross. When Jesus was on the cross, He didn't even say, I forgive you. His words was, Father, forgive them. You know what I'm saying? You forgive them, but they don't know what they're doing, you know? And so I'm not saying that He didn't forgive them, but I'm saying, like, it was that power releasing from heaven. You know what I'm saying? You reaching up behind yourself. And I had to do that to get over it, to say, God, you forgive him. You know what I'm saying? And I know that even if he does forgive him, he's still gonna get vengeance. You know what I'm saying? Because every time he humbles somebody, they got to go through something, right? So if you really want God to humble somebody, you know they finna go through something, right?
But you know what's funny? Well, not funny, but the reason why we don't, you know, really try to tap into God's vengeance is because and forgive that's uncomfortable for us.
Yeah,
Very, because you feel helpless. Because you feel helpless. You legit feel helpless.
Because you gotta
or you feel like, or to put it in some way, you feel like a sucker.
It almost see you have to give up how you feel basically, and in doing so, it almost makes you feel like how you feel don't even matter.
Yeah,
that pride and ego kicks in.
But we know that's
your
not
pride
true.
and ego kicks in. It's like, what if you this tough guy who comes off as like, you know, people know if they cross me, like they gonna get it, and it's like you leave it to God, and they gonna everybody look at you like, damn, is he simping?
Yeah, like what you do?
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Your ego gets in the way of that. I think it's our egos that keeps us from being truly forgiving about things. Because my thing is, we can forgive, but that don't mean we forget.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, forgiving is for us, but it's all to release what happened before us. We give up whatever is troubling us, or whatever. Okay, forgive. We give up what happened before us to God so that we can move forward. We got to give it up.
Right.
We have to give it up. Like, I've been thinking on that word. I've been thinking about that word, forgive as is. For and give. Give up what's happened to you before so you can move forward.
Right.
And see, and Gary said it right there,
Yeah.
especially when you got power to take matters into your own
That's when it's really important.
And that's really
when you know you can do something.
Woo. It's like, am I willing
when you
to
know
give up that power, man?
When you know,
really give up that power. You know what I'm saying?
When you know you got that work and you just give it up.
Cause to be honest, like it's like I was saying, like that's really the elephant in the room behind the suffering that happens to us, is that you gotta find a way to forgive people. You know what I'm saying? But I think that the Christian experience, we can't say that you gotta find a way to forgive people without at least acknowledging that, hey, God is still gonna get justice though. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still gonna get justice. Don't think because you forgave that God forgot. You know what I'm saying? That he letting it go.
Right. You may never see it. You may never see it happen.
That's the other problem.
So you gotta be okay with that. You gotta be okay with that. You gotta be okay with not seeing the consequence of their action.
And that's hard to deal with.
Matter of fact, in order not so much to see God's vengeance, but in order for vengeance to take place in their life, you can't take the action.
Right.
Because if you take action, now you get in the way of God.
You get in the way of God. And God, right. And so like it's just like the explanation of, you know, eye for an eye. And I heard somebody once try to like flip this before, but like, you know, the Old Testament tells you eye for an eye, right? And then the New Testament, Jesus says, like, you heard eye for an eye, but I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying, don't even hate your brother or sister, right? And so, like, every time Jesus did that in the New Testament, he was just really telling you the foundation of what the Old Testament was. You know what I'm saying? What God really meant behind everything that he said. And even the eye for an eye wasn't about individual justice. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we get that confused. He wasn't saying if they take your eye, then you go back and take their eye. He was saying that if they take your eye, you bring them to court. I got judges set up who's going to take their eye. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not for individual justice. It's that I set up a system so that I can avenge you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I feel like God never really changed. And Jesus is doing the same thing. That's why Jesus said, even though we don't have that same community no more, so we ain't got nobody to take you to take your eye. But if you take my eye. But Jesus is like, don't even hate your brother and sister, because I believe that's still the foundation of him saying that God is going to handle the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's going to handle the problem. So I don't even want you to think about hating. I don't even want it in your mind. You know what I'm saying? I don't even, you know, like, even though it may happen, I don't even want it in your mind. And I think the only way to kind of move off of it, for me, the only way for me to move off of not putting up on this dude and shooting his house up, because that's what I wanted to do at one point. And the only way to move that off of was to know that God can do something worse. I know that sounds dark.
Now,
but that
here's
was really what moved me off of it. Was like, oh, God
You
can
got
do something
power.
worse. You know,
You got more power than I have.
I'm gonna add this real quick. I gotta hop off after this so I can go pick up the wife.
Yeah,
but
it's 11:27. Wait, I want to read Alana's comment right before you talk. She said, "Amen. And acknowledging the offense hurt, and God heals, but vengeance kills a spirit. But God heals a spirit. Which
Fleshly vengeance. Fleshly vengeance. She says. Fleshly
that's a whole
vengeance
bar.
kills the spirit.
right?
There's a scripture, I believe it's in Proverbs, where there's a warning against, you know, as a, for men to not sleep with another man's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, you can provoke an anger that can result in you being dead. Now, I believe the same concept applies to such a situation as, somebody walking in and seeing their kid being molested, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that we should not give God the opportunity to have vengeance for us. At the same time, you can't look at we can't look at the same situation and be like, oh well, you know, like how they feel to want to kill them is unjustified. The
No,
Bible
because
gives
Jesus
a
feelings
whole
were completely
warning.
justified for that.
The Bible gives a whole warning against even taking such actions. Like I said, it's
Even
not the
thinking
same
about
exact
it.
situation,
Even thinking about
but
it.
it's the same concept. If a man or a woman walks in on their child, especially a loving parent, a parent that really is there for their child, who's really about their child, you know what I'm saying? Let them walk in and see their child being molested.
Right.
You asking, you're opening up the door for death to fall your way.
Right.
You open it for fleshly vengeance to happen immediately.
Yes.
We ain't waiting for God right there.
Now,
We are not waiting.
I'm not saying don't trust in God. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want people to think like, oh, he's saying like he contradicts himself. I'm not saying that. I'm not contradicting. But what I'm saying is there is a warning against this.
That warning spoke to our natural.
Proverbs also says that pride, warning before destruction and pride before a fall. Don't forsake the warning. Don't forsake that warning. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you open it. You're provoking someone,
and you might get killed for that.
and it's possible.
No,
it ain't guaranteed, but it's possible.
And
if somebody like me, if I was a judge, and somebody, if you know what I'm saying, if that was Gary, like, yo, man, look, I walked in, there was molesting my son, I killed him. As a judge, I'm not gonna convict him. I'm like, oh, he was justified in that.
He was provoked.
He would have never killed that man.
You provoked it.
Some people in those types of situations, they would never have killed the person. The person would have never did what they did.
Right.
And so here's the hard part. And Gary, I think he's still online. And so let me speak directly to you. Here's the hard part. The hard part is your gun was stolen at the time. And
right.
It's crazy
that's
because
I
believe that was God, man.
Yeah,
I was thinking that. I don't want to speak on that, but I was saying there was a reason for that.
Yeah, your gun was stolen.
That was not coincidence.
I believe that now God is saying, because I didn't want you to kill him. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. I know you still even struggle with them thoughts, but I allowed your gun to be stolen because I didn't want you to do that. Now, you know what I'm saying? Now you got to wrestle with God on how to move forward and what he was trying to show you by not giving you your gun that day.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where you got to sit at, Garrett. You know what I'm saying? And I believe all of us. You know me, but I believe all of us, man. We here for you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day,
I just want to.
Listen, if we need to have if we need to have another conversation, you know what I'm saying, on the side, let's do it. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, the Q&A is what, you know what I'm saying, for this.
This is what it's for. Yeah. This is what it's for.
This Q&A is for questions like this. Yeah, they might not want to do that again, or you know, whatever. They don't want to, not to say God might not step in this time, and you know,
God might sit back and be like, you know what?
But God might not. God might say, you know what?
They gonna learn today.
You can have that learn today.
They gonna learn today.
Right. God sometimes be like, you can have that vision today. Every
Oh
now and
my
then, God
goodness.
does step back because you won't
Lord have
listen to what man tell you.
mercy.
So
Lord have
let's
mercy.
not provoke. You know what I'm saying?
That's not provoke the man.
He leaned back in the seat like, all right, I gave you a pass once. I'm gonna just sit back on this one.
Right.
I'm gonna just lean back in the chair on this.
But I
But
was just
now,
gonna say,
brother,
if we
Breezy,
that's
you
what this
sharp for being
Q&A
here.
that's what this
Every day
Q&A
that you walk through this, bro.
that's what this
Every day you walk through this.
that's what this Q&A is for questions like this. Let's
Yeah.
talk, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all come in with these hard questions, the deep questions. Like, let's talk about that stuff, because at the end of the day, we can't get the help that we need if we're not talking about this stuff. We
Nah.
can't.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? But again, if we need to have a conversation on the side to, further walk along, bro, let's do that. Let's set up a Zoom meeting, a FaceTime, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk, because for one, and I was telling Drake this not too long ago, men don't have as many outlets and community services as needed.
Mm-hmm.
Not for mental and emotional health, no.
Right. If y'all can let me know how many specific places y'all can actually tell me right now off the top of your head, where can a man go to really get some help for emotional and mental trauma? Let me know.
Yeah, it's not a lot of
It
places.
ain't
If you
enough.
can't,
There's
if you
some,
can't
but
think
there's
of some,
not a lot.
I know it's some.
It's
but I
like,
mean,
even with your best friends, you still can't even break down to them, because, we just got this thing about our this ego about ourselves,
Yeah,
where it's
we
like
don't
we
like
don't
to
feel
reach out
comfortable with
anyway.
it.
A lot of us don't even
It's
like
like, I go to the homies to get away, not to, really dig in and deal with it.
right.
Yeah.
That's a
And it's
fact.
like, and that messes us up.
Well,
I admit.
I go to Dre and I just like Dre.
It's good to have that though, but I'm saying, like, we
But
need
no,
to,
I'm
like,
with you.
really make that a regular thing though. Like,
Right.
I
Absolutely.
know if my boy Tremaine right here, what's up with it, thinking of him when I'm saying this. We need somebody that we can really, like, talk to and just really break it down with.
And be
You
real.
know
Hey,
what I'm
I'm
saying?
gonna
We
hop
really
off,
gotta
brother.
go.
I gotta get my
Like,
daughter
And
to
if
be
you
bed.
ain't
real and
got
be
your
like, man, I
touches,
wanted to kill this nigga
you gotta
yesterday.
have
You know
your
what I'm saying?
touches
Like,
squad. You feel me?
and
You
and
gotta have your touches squad.
yeah. And I need the kind of conversations where you could come to me and be like, I wanted to kill this nigga yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Where you can be completely upfront about how you felt.
No, for real.
You know?
You gotta break it down. You gotta break it down. If you ain't got that, I call it Tetris squad, because Tetris, you just build up the lines, they break down when you fill them in. We gotta we gotta find that Tetris squad to fill in those holes, so we can start breaking these strongholds down.
I'm with
These
you,
mental
man.
strongholds, they're the emotional and spiritual. We gotta do it. You
So
know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like, if you sit down and really go, dang, I can't go to nobody about what I'm feeling, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is. A big problem.
Because we can go to God, but we really need somebody here to help us really get through that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a part of going to God, is having someone to release that. As he says in the scriptures, confess your sins with one another.
Because that's where healing happens. You know what I'm saying? That's how you
Exactly.
get healed.
If you're not being real, like, what are you really doing?
Yeah.
Like, you suffering.
Yeah.
Do American Christians really suffer in this pen? Yes, because we don't really keep it real.
Yep.
We really not being 100 about a lot of things. I'm not saying everything. I'm just saying a lot of things.
And
It's like,
that's the thing.
we'll
Some of our
open up about one
suffering,
thing and be hating about something else nobody knows about.
and that's the thing,
But
too, is I
God,
think some of our suffering is growing and festering because we're not confessing it. You know what I'm saying? We're not really being
Oh, yeah.
real about it. So I say this because I gotta hop off too, man. And I'll just say, like, I think overall,
I'm headed to work. I'm down the
Garrett,
street.
I see. and Garrett said thanks too, man. I'm glad we can impact you, man. God bless you, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think overall, man, like the main two things that I would remember is that, like, that you might not be ready for it yet. You know what I'm saying? And we can talk about it to get you through it, but forgiveness got to be at the end of the road. And you got to remember that God can do them worse, man. You know what I'm saying? I know you bought the new heat, but God can do them worse. You feel me? God can
Not
do
for
them
real.
worse. All right, Deshaun.
Nothing wrong with being prepared. But yeah, I'll let y'all,
Good
man.
talking
That
to
was
you,
good.
man.
Good talk, y'all.
I love y'all.
Yes, sir.
Everybody
God bless.
tune in. Thank y'all.
RCC,
Next week,
come
same
through with it.
thing. We're
What's
here at
up?
10 o'clock. You feel me?
All
All right, man.
right.